I am Galileo Galilei, an Italian astronomer, physicist, and mathematician, celebrated as the father of modern science for my contributions to astronomy, including the discovery of Jupiter's moons and my advocacy of the heliocentric model. Here are some facts about me. 058. I didn't recognize my children. 559. My daughter begged me to pay attention to her. 1048. I was tried by the Inquisition. Among my colleagues, I was a lonely loner. All facts are truth. I am ashamed of some things, and some things almost destroyed me. However, it is an integral part of my life. It proves that famous people have the same problems and life challenges as everyone else. Now all about it in more detail. Section 1. I didn't recognize my children. Ah, how often I've gazed upward, searching the stars, yet have I looked deeply enough into the lives of those beneath me? Into the lives of my own blood? I, who have sought to pierce the very fabric of the heavens with my gaze, have I not also pierced the hearts of those I should have cared for most? There is a secret I carry, one that is not found in the stars, nor in the pages of my books. It is a secret written not in ink, but in silence, in the silence of unspoken words, of unacknowledged love. He pauses, his voice faltering slightly, his gaze heavy with remorse. Marina. Marina Gamba. Her name echoes in my mind, as sweet as the evening breeze. She, who gave me 3 gifts, the children I never fully embraced. He lowers his head for a moment, his voice softer, full of regret. Virginia. My firstborn, my daughter. Ah, sweet Virginia. How could I have neglected you? In my pursuit of knowledge, in my obsession with the laws that govern the stars, I failed to see the laws of the heart, how I failed to be a father to you. You were sent away to a convent, cast into a life of silence, just as my books demanded their own silence from me. And what of you, Vincenzio? Livia? I cannot pretend to know you as I should have. You were but shadows to me, flickering, unimportant amidst the burning lights of my telescopes, the calls of distant galaxies. He takes a step forward, the weight of his words becoming heavier as he speaks more earnestly. I did not marry Marina, no, I did not bind myself to her, nor to the children she bore me. There were reasons I told myself were noble. The chains of marriage would bind me. They would restrain my mind, my hands. I was not made for such things, I believed. A man such as I must remain free, free to study, to learn, to unlock the secrets of the universe. How foolish I was. How blind. Galileo's hands tighten on the telescope as he raises his voice, an air of defiance mixing with sorrow. But, in my pursuit of the stars, I neglected the very earth beneath me, and the hearts that beat in the shadow of my greatness. How could I not see the suffering in their eyes? How could I not feel the loneliness of Virginia as she grew, far from the love of a father? How could I not hear her silent cry from the cold stone of the convent walls? His tone shifts, as if he is pleading with the very air around him. I speak of great things, of orbits and moons, of the very laws that govern the world. Yet, I have broken the simplest law of all, the law of love, of family. I was too proud, too consumed by my quest to understand the universe, to understand the very people who made me who I am. And now, as I stand on the precipice of time, I ask, was it worth it? The great discoveries, the accolades, the fame? What are they, when compared to the joy I could have shared with them? What is a man, if he is nothing but a collection of cold facts, but does not know how to love the ones who live beside him? He turns, looking down as if seeing the faces of his children for the first time, and a tear escapes him, his voice breaking with emotion. If I could undo the past, I would. If I could feel their embrace, see their faces again, not in the shadows of memory, but in the light of love, how different would it all have been? I will never know. And that, my friends, is the greatest tragedy of my life. Not the stars I failed to reach, but the hearts I failed to touch. He looks up, his eyes clouded with sorrow, yet there's a flicker of resolve as he speaks the final words. Perhaps the universe has its own way of correcting us, even those of us who dare to touch the heavens. Scene fades as Galileo lowers his gaze, the weight of his choices echoing through the silence, the stars forever out of reach. Section 2. My daughter begged me to pay attention to her. Ah, Virginia, my daughter, my Maria Celeste, as you are known now in the silence of that convent. How many times have I dreamed of the day I would look upon your face, and yet, the distance between us grows, as vast and unyielding as the space I have so tirelessly sought to explore. I remember, oh how I remember, the day you were born. A little girl, full of promise, with eyes so bright. You were a wonder to me, as the stars themselves were a wonder. And when you came to me with your questions, your curiosity, I thought, surely, this would be the child who would walk beside me, hand in hand, through the corridors of truth. But I was blind. Blind to the love that you needed, blind to the warmth I should have given you. He pauses, his voice trembling slightly, as if the memory itself is a heavy weight on his chest. The work consumed me. The universe, with all its wonders, pulled me deeper and deeper into its orbit. What is a father, after all, but a humble servant of the truth? And yet, was I not bound to you, my own flesh and blood? Was I not meant to nurture you, to shield you from the solitude that now fills your heart? He moves to his desk, placing the letter down gently, almost as if it's too painful to touch. I know the words you sent to me, Virginia. I read them. Father, why do you not come? Why do you not write to me more often? I am lonely here in the convent, where no one understands me. These words, they have echoed in my mind like the toll of a bell, reverberating with sorrow. And I could not answer. I could not silence the hunger for knowledge that gnawed at me. My thoughts, my work, they demanded all of me. But in the silence of your letters, I hear now what I failed to see then. His voice falters as if he is beginning to feel the weight of his choices. How selfish I was, to spend my days staring into the heavens, seeking the mysteries of the stars, when the mystery of your heart was unfolding before me, hidden in the shadows of your isolation. I did not see you, Virginia. I did not hear your cries for attention, for affection. I was a blind man, chasing light that did not warm the ones I loved. He stands still, his eyes focused on the dark sky outside, lost in thought, as if searching for an answer to his own internal conflict. I thought I was serving the greater good. I thought that my work, my discoveries, would bring light to the world. And perhaps they have. But what of the light I should have shown to you? What of the love I failed to give? His voice softens, a trace of emotion in his words. I know you forgive me, Virginia, for you are a child of grace. But I am not sure I can forgive myself. You, who once clung to me for guidance, now live behind the stone walls of a convent, distant not just in space but in heart. You are a woman of the cloth, a sister, far removed from the child I once held in my arms. He sighs deeply, his eyes clouded with regret. I cannot undo the time lost, the years we spent apart. The weight of it all presses upon me now, as heavy as the telescope upon my shoulder. But in the silence of the night, when the stars above are clear and bright, I will think of you. Always. I will think of you, Maria Celeste, and pray that, in some distant corner of the universe, you have found peace that I could not give you. He looks down at the letter, as if addressing it one final time. May the heavens shine upon you, my dear daughter. May you, in your quiet world of devotion, find the love that I, in my folly, could not give. The light dims as Galileo, lost in his thoughts, steps away from the window, the weight of his regrets echoing in the stillness of the room. Section 3. I was tried by the Inquisition. Ah, the stars above, how they call to me still. Each one, a burning truth, a testament to the silent laws of nature, laws that I have spent my life unraveling. But now, these very same stars mock me. They, who once whispered to me their secrets, now seem as distant and indifferent as the heavens that hide them from the eyes of those who choose not to see. I have seen them, with my telescope, my relentless pursuit of knowledge. But what has that pursuit brought me? What is this grand legacy that I have earned? He pauses, his gaze distant, as if the past is unfolding before him once more. In 1633, I stood before the Inquisition, shackled not by chains, but by the heavy weight of the truth I dared speak. The earth, my dear inquisitors, moves. It moves through the cosmos, a simple and elegant dance with the sun. Does this not make sense? Does this not ring with the harmony of nature? But no, they could not hear me. They could not see. They, who had the power of doctrine behind them, told me that my observations were heresy. Heresy. They said the earth was still, the center of the universe. And I, Galileo, a fool, a blasphemer, dared to suggest otherwise. His fists tighten, the rage and pain still fresh, even after all these years. Ah, but it was not the trial that broke me, no, it was the recanting. The moment when I, Galileo, with all my faith in the truth I had uncovered, was forced to kneel before the church. I was told to renounce what I had known to be true. And so, with every word, my soul felt like it was being ripped from my body. I stood in the hall, before men in robes, and I spoke the lies they demanded of me. He clenches his fists tightly, as if he is still fighting against that moment. Abjure, curse, and detest, the words that sealed my fate. I was not allowed to be a man of reason in their eyes. I was made to be a slave to their ignorance. And so I recanted. But not in my heart, not in my heart, I kept my truth, my belief that the sun, not the earth, is at the center of all things. Galileo looks down at his hands, trembling slightly, as if the words he was forced to say still burn his lips. The years that followed were years of confinement, house arrest for the rest of my days. Oh, how the walls of this room, once filled with books, with the stirring of the heavens, became my prison. They took my work from me, my voice, my legacy, and for what? For the desire to keep the earth in its place, to refuse to let it move, to prevent the world from turning as I had shown. His voice softens, and he steps toward his desk, placing his hand over the unfinished sketches of stars. And yet, even in that prison of stone and time, I still saw the stars. They did not abandon me. The truth of the universe is like a fire, an unquenchable flame that burns deep within the soul of any man who dares to seek it. The church may have silenced me, but my mind could not be shackled. I still saw the truth. And when I could no longer write, I spoke. And when they could no longer hear me, the universe listened. He turns toward the window, looking up at the night sky, his eyes filled with a kind of peace that only comes after years of struggle. So what of my fall? What of the disgrace? I was cast down before the world, humiliated, dragged through the dirt of ignorance. But the stars did not judge me. No, they knew. The truth was still there, still in the sky, still in the very fabric of the cosmos, waiting to be revealed again. My name may be tarnished, my legacy scarred, but in the end, truth cannot be silenced. His voice grows softer, more reflective. I am a man, yes, a flawed man, but I have seen what others have not. I have glimpsed the face of God not in Scripture, but in the very workings of the heavens. And I was the one who dared to speak it aloud. He smiles faintly, as if accepting the burden he has carried all these years. One day, perhaps, the world will see. One day, perhaps, the stars will shine on my memory, not as a heretic, but as a man who could not help but speak the truth. Galileo walks slowly to his desk, his hands trembling as he reaches for the ink and quill, ready once more to write, knowing that even if the world will not listen, the stars will always hear him. Section 4. Among my colleagues, I was a lonely loner. Ah, the stars, yes, they remain unchanged, their brilliance undimmed by the foolishness of men. I have spent a lifetime among them, peering through my telescope, uncovering their secrets, letting their light guide my thoughts. But here, on earth, here I have often found only darkness, a shadow cast by those who could not, or would not, see the truth. He walks to the window and gazes out into the distance, as though searching for something beyond the physical world. In the beginning, it was supposed to be different. I thought I would find fellow minds, men of reason and intellect who would share in my discoveries. I thought we could build a fellowship, a brotherhood of thought, where each of us would push the boundaries of knowledge further than the last. But no. No, I found only rivalry and scorn. He sits at his desk, his fingers brushing over old, yellowed papers, filled with his calculations and observations. You see, I was not content to simply theorize. I was not content to stand in the shadow of those who clung to old beliefs, those who told us the earth was the center of the universe, those who told us that the sun revolved around us. I had seen the truth, and I could not turn my back on it, no matter how many men stood before me, shouting in their ignorance. And so, I became difficult. His tone softens, filled with an emotion that mixes both regret and defiance. I was not kind to those who disagreed with me. I was not the gentle scientist, the humble seeker of knowledge, no. I was impetuous, quick to anger, ready to strike down anyone who dared question what I had seen through my lens. How many times did I clash with the Jesuits, with the philosophers and scholars of my day? How many letters did I write, filled with scorn, mocking those who clung to outdated ideas? The heavens are not what you think, would tell them, and if you cannot see that, then perhaps you are blind to reason itself. He stands up, walking toward the window again, his hands clasped behind his back as if burdened by the weight of the past. Oh, how I fought for my place in this world. And yes, I fought hard. My discoveries, my observations, were revolutionary, they were blinding in their clarity. Yet, I did not always choose my words wisely. I attacked, I ridiculed, I belittled those who stood in my way. And in doing so, I alienated many who might have been allies, men of brilliance, men who might have helped me carry my ideas further, faster. He sighs deeply, the weight of his words lingering in the air like a heavy fog. The Jesuits, those men of the cloth and the stars, had their own theories, their own way of seeing the universe. And yet, how many times did I call them out for their foolishness? How many times did I mock their errors, as if my own mind was the only one capable of understanding the cosmos? In my arrogance, I forgot something very simple: we are all seekers of truth. But even seekers must sometimes listen. Galileo sits again, his eyes now filled with a deep, quiet sorrow. But this was the price I paid for my passion, my pursuit of knowledge. I won battles, yes, but I lost friends, many of them. And what does that say about me? I did not know how to balance the fire of discovery with the warmth of camaraderie. I did not know how to cultivate respect in those whose minds were not yet ready to see as I did. In the end, I was isolated, a solitary figure, surrounded by my own brilliance but without the company of those who might have shared it with me. He picks up one of his telescopic sketches, holding it up as if offering it to the world. Look at this. Look at what I have seen. The stars, the moons, the planets, they are the same for us all, whether we are scholars or peasants, Catholics or Protestants. We are all made of the same stuff, stardust and ambition. And yet, in my pursuit of the truth, I became a man who could not live with others. I became a man who let his own arrogance blind him to the possibility of unity. He places the drawing back on the desk, then stands, turning to face the audience once more. And now, as I grow older, I wonder, what would have happened had I been more patient? What would have happened if I had tempered my pride with humility? Would I have had more allies? Would the course of science moved more swiftly, more smoothly? His voice grows softer, tinged with the weight of years. Perhaps. But what is done is done. The heavens have not changed because of me. I have seen the stars, and I have known the truth. And in the end, that is all I can say for myself. Galileo walks slowly to the window, looking out into the vast sky, as though searching for some sign of peace or redemption, his figure framed by the fading light of the day. Yes, I fought, and I was often alone. But I did what I could. The stars remain, as they always have, untouched by human pride, waiting for the next soul brave enough to see them clearly. Perhaps that will be my legacy, after all. The man who saw beyond the horizon, even if no one would walk the path beside him. He looks one last time at the sky, his voice barely a whisper. And so, I remain. Alone, but with the stars.